What is going on, everyone? And welcome back to the Goldgell Getaways travel podcast. My name is Josh, and if you don't know who we are a full service travel planning agency here to help you plan your next destination vacation, whether it's from Walt Disney World or anywhere around the world with big kids, small kids, or no kids at all. Wherever you want to go, we're here to help. So you can head on over to www.goldgellgetaways.com and start planning today. And of course, I'm also not here by myself because this would be really boring if you just had to sit here and listen to me talk. So today we are joined by Ashley. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. So excited to be here.
Awesome. Very cool. So I've chatted with you before a little bit. I think today the topic is going to be great. This is a little bit of a dive. Uh, well, I guess we're still going to maybe talk a little bit about Disney, but
Yeah,
we're going to get out of the theme parks, which I
yeah,
think is really
definitely.
nice.
I know. And I do love the theme parks, but I think that Disney and maybe other brands also offer a great amount for people to explore. So I'm passionate about
Yeah.
both. So I wanted to kind of share that.
Yeah. Awesome. So, before we get started, if you're interested in becoming a travel agent who specializes in Disney vacations or any other type of vacation, cruises, land tours, you name it, you could probably do it. You can head on over to our website and sign up or apply to become an agent today with us at Go Getaways. So we will move right into the news and rumor reports, and I really didn't have much to add. So I'm going to let you kind of take a little deep dive into this week's news, and then I'll just kind of chime in. I'm going to sit back this week, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So some of it's not just this week's news, but like stuff that I know that we didn't really get to talk about that I felt like was is will be a game changer for like the Disney park specifically moving forward. So we actually just found out today about some of these new park tickets and deals that are being released, which is really awesome.
Mhm.
They did that last year and they're bringing it back. So Disney just announced that today. So they will have the four park 4-day ticket for guests, and that's great because it's just like accessing that at a low price for like it starts at $99 a day,
Yep.
which is pretty cool. They even had, which I thought was really interesting, the three park 3-day ticket. So that's
Mhm.
accessing Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, and Epcot for an even lower price. Just because Magic Kingdom is one of those like more expensive, harder to access parks because it's so
Yeah.
crowded. I actually have clients there this weekend, and they were there originally for a cheer event, and it is mobbed. It is
Oh, I
insane. This whole
bet.
yeah. So, and Magic Kingdom is always a pretty busy park,
Crazy.
but yeah. And then they just actually also released new dining reservation features that will be accessed in April. But along with that, we woke up to a brand new Genie format, and the entire My Disney Experience app has been kind of like just changed and updated a little bit. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that. And if you check that out, it is broken down a little bit more, but it took me a little bit to find everything. And of course, it was like when I'm currently working with my clients and I'm
Right.
like looking for different things on the app that now are moved. I didn't know if you checked that out yet and like
Yeah.
what your thoughts are on it.
Well, the funny thing is that another thing that I do with the agency is kind of do some one-on-one stuff with our agents and talk about social media stuff and coming up with some content and ideas. And I always say, like, the top two things, if you're going to do Disney content, top two things you can always talk about is food, because everybody loves food. They want to know all about all the secret honey holes that are around the parks and the resorts, and it's Disney Genie Plus. Because no matter what, people will never fully understand how it works. And Disney just proves my point a little bit more because they change it up just a little bit so that as soon as you get used to it, now you have to kind of take a little bit longer today or tomorrow, whenever you're going back, and you have to kind of refigure it out a little bit. So, I mean, I'm all for streamlining the process as much as it can be done. Um, I'm okay with changes. It doesn't really affect me that much. We don't really use Disney Genie that much, but I'm all for trying to make the process a little bit simpler if it helps guests. So I don't know if it does because I haven't really tried it yet. But I
Yeah.
mean,
So,
is it? What do you think?
I
I mean,
mean,
is it?
I like it. I think that everything is just broken down into sections more, which at first was confusing because it took a while from like back in when did we implement 20 Genie Plus, like 2021, 2022.
Yeah, it would have
So
been
like
Probably
around that time
2021. Yeah.
when we had that whole app shift. I think that was really major. And that was like
Right.
navigating that my plans are no longer my, like, you have to look in my plans to see today's itinerary and future
Right.
plans were tomorrow. But now it's just on the bottom broken down even more. I, it's a little bit of a change. I'm interested to see that dining reservation change and what that will really look like when they
Yeah.
implement that and how you can navigate multiple times. I do have to say, we're really going to talk Genie Plus, like, and the system. Um,
Yeah.
Now you can modify, but there's always going to be glitches in the system. Like sometimes,
Yeah.
just the other day, I was supporting a client and said we could book at an odd time that was not the after the 2 hour time, and there was no reservations modified. I was like, this is strange. So just sometimes there's glitches, but I'm
Yeah.
excited to see if this dining reservation change will actually simplify the process at all. And then
Yeah.
just really excited for those 2025 reservations now, which I personally think is going to be a game changer on just something Disney's giving back to the guests, which
Yeah.
is the water park access. So in 2025, you will be able to access a water park on check-in day with your resort package, which is, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we did discuss that a little bit. Have you used the water parks often, like in the past several trips or anything like that? Or
Yeah, so yes, we have. I personally really like the after hours events that they offer sometimes.
okay,
So they would do like Typhoon Lagoon H2O glow nights. Um, but we've done a few day trips to the water parks. I'm not sure, I can tell that you have an opinion about it. But I think that's really cool because for clients that are planning a trip and maybe wanted to just skip a park day on check-in day, that could
right.
be a good alternative.
No, I think it's really great actually. I mean, we love the water parks. It's something that I said this last time, that for whatever reason they must be having a really hard time selling these water parks
Mm,
because um every single Run Disney event that I've done in the last 2 years, inevitably it seems like they are doing some special for basically any runner who's running and has a bib can go to the water park and either get in for free or get in with like half price or something like that, depending on what the event is. Marathon weekend, I think it was like 50% off because there's like 15,000 people there. So you can't really get
yeah.
free admission for 15,000, runners in a short amount of time. But, I really kind of wonder why the struggle is there if maybe theme parks down the road are somehow pulling people away. I mean, I know Volcano Bay is really, really cool. We love Volcano Bay. No diss to Disney because I mean, obviously we love Disney, but Volcano Bay is awesome. But
Yeah.
when you're at Walt Disney World and you have the convenience of everything being right there, and depending on the time of the year, you get two different water parks to choose from. It's kind of surprising that they must be having a hard time selling it because this seems to be kind of something to get people more interested when they come. And I think it's great having that day when you check in with the option to just go to the water park if you want to. It's no different, I think, than if what we're going to talk about later on, which is cruising, where the day that you get on the ship, if you want to go to the pool, you can definitely do that. Just make sure that you bring, your trunks or your bathing suit in your kind of carry-on bag so that you have it and you can just change right when you get on the ship. So, I would just recommend everybody do the same thing. It's a little bit different, I guess, because you have access to all of your luggage the entire time, but keep everything handy in an easy place and you can just head on over. So,
Yeah. And I think that's interesting. I also think though that a lot of like the average guest that doesn't really do their research has no idea that the water parks number one exist because they're not
yeah,
as, in my opinion, highly marketed and advertised even on social media as
yeah,
the four parks are. Plus, you have to pay extra with even with a park hopper. So like clients
right.
are kind like, oh, I have to pay for the four parks to park hop. In addition, I have to upgrade my park hopper to just go to the water parks. I
Yeah,
think that like this is giving back a little bit, but maybe that also is why is like if you don't have like a travel agent talking to you about that, the average guest is
right.
like, I didn't like, what do I know about that? But I do have to say, I agree. Volcano Bay is a great water
Pretty
park.
good. It is.
I
And
do
not
like the
been.
Disney water parks, but I did
Yeah.
love Volcano Bay. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The raging river is what I call it over there at Volcano Bay.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that was we were shocked. So our first visit to Volcano Bay was this past summer, and
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do it, and it just we never had the time in our schedule and our trips. We always had so many other things planned. I was like, we are dedicating this Universal trip to Volcano Bay. We have to do it, and we
Yeah.
stayed at Cabana Bay, which was so great, and we walked right
Oh,
over,
yep.
and that was our favorite. We were in that for hours. the, the Fearless
Yeah.
River is what they call it. It was so cool.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
so cool. Yeah.
Yes.
So over at Disneyland, moving on, they have for those popcorn bucket lovers, which I collect quite a few myself, but I'm not definitely like some of the hardcore fans like they have out there. They just released the new Chubby the Bird popcorn bucket from Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It is a pretty cute popcorn bucket, but I'm sure that's going to be available March 19th. So I'm sure people are going to go crazy for that over in the Disneyland park. Um, and then also, in speaking of cruise news, which was pretty cool, just 2 days ago or yesterday, Virgin Voyages just released a 4 week season pass on the Scarlet Lady, and it's $9,990 per couple, and you are sailing through the Mediterranean. So I thought this was interesting. They're marketing it as like work, like the true work from home life, like work and sail.
Okay.
Um, I thought it was interesting because I know that they've been kind of pushing, like, you see all these people with the world cruise and these longer
Right.
duration cruises that I have never actually seen before this year. And Virgin Voyages, I guess this is like their competitive version of that, just released that 4 week Scarlet Lady season pass.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about if you like, if you were that person, this is like retirement goals and you have that time to spend 4 weeks on a cruise ship, this is definitely saving you a lot of money. It really is.
I mean,
With
that's
Virgin
it's
Voyages
not that
pricing.
bad. I
No,
mean,
for the Med, like,
I don't know that that includes taxes and fees. Do we know that? But
yeah, I think so because Virgin
I,
Voyages is like focusing on inclusivity, so that's like
yeah,
gratuity and everything. Like
yeah,
that's it, and you get like extra upgrades. So you'll get a $10 coffee credit per cabin. You'll get upgraded boarding on when you first board. So like there's extra features that also come
right.
along with that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty
But
cool. I mean, that's a really good price if you think about it for each week, a 7 night sailing. Um, that's pretty good. So
yeah,
I mean, of course, not everybody has that much to just kind of throw in, and obviously a lot of people need time off. But
yeah,
no, that's really cool. That's something that, I'd like to consider. Maybe that'd be kind of cool. So
yeah, it is
going
cool.
through the
It is.
med,
I know.
that's
I
awesome.
I'm excited. That would definitely be like one of my next travel goals is Virgin
Yeah.
Voyages through the Med because I do love Virgin Voyages, which I'm going to talk about.
Yeah,
Pretty passionate about that.
we have not done that yet. We do some like cruise. We do like a group cruise every year, and people keep telling us that we should have one on um Virgin Voyages, and we just have not gotten around to actually even sailing them yet.
Hmm.
So, maybe after today's discussion, you will have convinced myself
Well, I saw
to go a little deeper.
you guys are starting a group cruise to Hawaii. I have a group cruise going on Virgin this summer. We're going to Costa Maya and Bimini, which is really cool because Bimini has
Nice.
their private beach club. So yeah, I always say
Yeah.
we went with another couple last year and we loved it so much. And I was like, oh my gosh, this would be so fun with just a large group of people. And that is truly
Yeah.
why I decided to like form that group. You get extra sailor loot to spend on board, which you
Yeah.
can spend on anything. They have cool stuff. So,
Okay. Sorry, you cut out just for like half a second there. I
oh
think it might
no.
have just been the mic. But no, you're good. You're good. All right.
Yeah, I get
Um,
excited. I'm Italian, so I talk with my hands a lot.
that's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So, okay. So, well, we're getting into cruising. So let's start into this week's topic. And if you're new to listening, essentially what I like to do is have whoever agent is that's coming on to try and come up with a topic that they're passionate about. That way, I'm not trying to dominate the conversation, and they can kind of explain a little bit more of kind of like what's important. And so that if you're interested in the same things, you can reach out to that agent and they can help you start planning. So this week we're going to get into cruising and those who are hesitant to cruise. And so yeah, actually just take it away. Like I'm not going to dominate the conversation here, even though I've done a lot of cruises, but I'm excited
Yeah,
to hear kind of your opinion of this because I don't think that you were always somebody who did really like to cruise.
no. And I hope you totally jump in at any point because you definitely have a lot of cruises on your belt. So I was a lot of people that I talked to, friends, family, clients too. A lot of people are hesitant to cruising. And I think that
Yeah.
social media has a lot of positives that are shown, but also some negatives. And because um, there are such like that small percentage of those negative reviews get blown out of proportion,
Right.
and people take them out of context, is that fear can arise or like hesitation. And I was one of those people. So I had grown up fortunate enough to take a lot of vacations to the Caribbean. I'm a certified scuba diver. I've been certified since I was 10 years old. And I have a lot of like island background knowledge because
That's so
I
cool.
have, yeah, I love it. My daughter is turning 10 this year and she is really excited. She's going to get certified too. But
Oh man.
because of that, I did a lot of travel to like all inclusive resorts. We did a lot of that. And I was raised, my family was like, no cruising. We don't like cruising. So I was like, no cruising. I don't like cruising either.
Yeah.
And then I became an adult. It's like, man, I see a lot of people taking these awesome vacations on cruises, and I was unsure. I have really bad motion sickness, so immediately I was like, I don't know about that. And a lot of people discuss just being that idea of like being stuck on the ship. Like, what am I going to do? I'm
Right.
stuck there. But we took our very first cruise a few years ago, and immediately it was a short cruise, which I purposely did. It was just out of Port Canaveral, Royal
Yep. That's
Caribbean,
a good idea.
Independence of the Seas, three nighter, and we fell in love with it. It was a girls' cruise, so it was me, my daughter, and my mom. And I was like, hey, like let's do this, let's try it. Never done it before.
Yeah.
Fell in love with it. And I feel like a lot of people are hesitant because they have no idea what actually makes up a cruise or like what the benefits of a cruise are, what you do on a cruise, what it looks like.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let me ask you something. So,
yeah.
other than like having, you have some like motion sickness when it comes to, stuff, maybe rides or whatever. Was there something else in your family or somebody in your family who just was like, did they have a specific reason why they didn't want to cruise because they also maybe were motion sick or they felt like there was nothing to do, or was it just they didn't have a reason. They were just like, no.
Yeah, actually, I know. So my mom, actually, she took a cruise and she came back, and I was young at the time, so of course, like I'm influenced by a lot of us are influenced by our parents, whether even if we're adults. I was like a teenager, and she said, "Oh
Sure.
yeah, I didn't really like how you were like on the ship," and I was like, "This is interesting," but I didn't know what that
Yeah.
meant at the time, right?
Right.
And I think that kind of gets into that whole discussion of like, well, there's a lot of factors when you are deciding on a cruise or like
Yeah.
looking into cruises, what that means, because cruises, whether we like it or not, are marketed towards different people,
Right.
like
And
just like other vacations are.
this would have been what, like the 2000s probably for
Yeah,
her?
correct. It
Early
was like,
2000s or so?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
cruise industry has changed tremendously also during
Oh
that
my.
time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
so much. I
huge.
mean, when we look at now, just like Icon of the Seas compared to the other older
Right.
ships that were made during that
Yeah.
time, there's a huge
Yeah.
difference in the market, right?
Four or five times that size for
Yeah,
probably what the standard ship was back in that time.
right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean a lot has changed. And certainly it's more so, for anybody out there who maybe is listening and is kind of in the same boat, did a cruise a long time ago, back maybe in the mid early 2000s, to now. Granted, I did not take a cruise back in that amount of time in that time, but I can definitely tell you that just the atmosphere on board is very, very different than what it used to be, where it almost had like a very class like feel. Think of like the Titanic. I hate to like kind of throw that out there as like kind of like that class like feel,
Yeah.
but it's really not like that, especially today. It's very more laid back, and the amount of activities will just blow your mind sometimes on some of these ships and how much that there really is to do. So
And
sorry, I didn't
even,
mean to cut you off.
no,
I just wanted to see if they're like, because we something that we'll end up talking about later on in a different podcast is flying. Um, my wife's uh stepfather is like scared to death of flying, and
Mm.
we are getting to the point in his life where we're like, listen, you know, to do some really exciting things with everybody else, you're gonna have to kind of get over it. And so his fear of flying is just a little bit irrational. It's not necessarily like, something really, really happened. But that's why I just like to ask, because I always just kind of like wonder like what is the thought process behind when somebody chooses to not, do something. So cool.
Yeah, and I think that now, like really thinking on that too, if I were to compare an all-inclusive resort to like a cruise, there is way more to do on a cruise than there is an all-inclusive resort. Like I am
Yeah.
all here for all-inclusives, but like you cruises really appeal to every single person. There is
Right.
something to do for everyone.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. 100%.
So yeah, I just kind of wanted to like talk about that. And our very first, when I say like it's marketed toward everybody, there's tons of different cruise lines. So like for me, it's also choosing a cruise line, right?
Right.
Whereas we went on Royal Caribbean first, and I feel like that was a good starter cruise because when I think of Royal Caribbean, and you totally, I'd love to hear your opinion. I think of like the traditional cruising experience. Now it's
Okay.
expanded to a lot, but like I feel like a lot of different cruise lines, like specifically Disney Cruise Line and Virgin Voyages, have more targeted, unique experiences available on board than like Royal does. So,
100%. Yeah. 100%. I'll just jump in. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I totally agree with that. Disney obviously has the IP, so they have no problem selling their ships. Like they have the IP to sell it, which is Disney, obviously. Mickey and the gang, all of those fun things. Virgin, I can't really talk that much about because I haven't been on Virgin Voyages, but certainly Royal probably would be exactly how you say would be that more kind of classic um, style.
but it doesn't
So,
mean that like there's not a lot to do. I feel like when we went, I
oh
was mind
my,
blown by the amount of activities that they offer. So I did like when on Royal Caribbean they offer for dining like a main dining room,
mhm.
and you can opt to upgrade your packages for specialty dining experiences in restaurants. Essentially, with
Yep,
our first cruise, we did not opt to do that just because we wanted that true experience of what it would be like to dine in the main dining room. And I really did like that. And I was like, wow, this is cool. We have a server with us every night. We were sat
yep,
with other people. And I thought that was really cool. And then we went on Disney Cruise Line. And Disney, their dining is
yeah,
a little different. They have the rotational dining. So you have
yep,
three main restaurants on each ship that you will rotate through each every night, and your wait staff will actually travel with you, which was really cool. And the actual restaurants there are immersive. So, like for
yeah,
example, on the Disney Wish, they have Arendelle, which is a entertainment musical with Anna and
yeah,
Elsa, Olaf
yep,
and Kristoff. And then you have the World of Marvels, where not really so much of a character, but a character appearance may occur at the end.
right,
And then still immersive, where you kind of are working together to use PIM technology. And then they
yep,
have the 1923 restaurant, which is pretty cool. And it's just really like an immersive theme throughout the restaurant.
yeah,
But I think it's cool that your wait staff travels with you. That was something that I loved. And then we opted for, you could also opt for adult dining on Disney Cruise
right,
Line, which is really cool. And then we traveled Virgin, and my everything that I ever knew went out the window about cruising because they actually have no buffets on board, and they offer six
yeah,
restaurants, and you get to include it in your cruise fare. You get to eat at all six restaurants if you choose, if you can make reservations for that. So you do make reservations. Unlike Disney, reservations are not like fighting tooth and nail to get. Like you just can make them at your leisure.
right,
And I loved that structure. And they have a little bit of everything. So I
yeah.
feel like the restaurants are definitely good quality food. Not that I never had good quality food on a cruise, but I definitely would say it was definitely superior, kind of like Disney level.
Yeah, well, I would say this too, that a lot of people, when they start thinking about doing a cruise or are hesitant about something, something that we often hear, is just like quality of food and, am I gonna have to pay extra for that food? And I think that's what's really great about cruising is that essentially, no matter what cruise line you choose, the base fare that you pay, right? So if it's going to cost $2,500 for two people in an inside state room or a ocean view or whatever, um, that base price, once you pay it and you get on the ship, you really don't have to spend any extra money if you don't want to. It can be a really kind of fully inclusive cruise or vacation. But you can make it a little more special with some upgrades if you choose to, but they're not required to have a really great time. The
Yeah.
very first cruise that we went on was Disney, um, which is probably not the best example because they are almost very like almost a true inclusive vacation with everything that they offer. But you know, from the room to your food to drinks, Disney, like I said, Disney's not a great one because they include
Yeah.
soda or pop, Coke products. Um, but you don't have to spend any extra money if you want to spend an extra, I don't know, $50 a person to sit down and eat at a specialty restaurant. You can do that, but you can still like get really good food, quality food in the main dining room.
Yeah.
Um,
And people
and
are kind of, when I talk to them about that, they kind of are like, oh, I just think about the main dining room. And I'm like, I think maybe they're thinking they had maybe years ago, maybe it was a different experience. But again,
right,
I did like my time in the main dining room. Like it was
yeah,
great quality food and the menu was rotating. So like every night I could order something different. There was never like a repeated option, maybe one or
yeah,
two options, but it wasn't the same exact menu every single night. I had
yeah,
a variety of options, and then they'll bring in the specials, which are completely different every day, which was really cool.
right. And I think the other thing too, when we talk about kind of like the old style of cruising, um, my family's very dysfunctional in how the tree goes here, but my sisters, their mom, and their stepdad would go, uh, they would go on a cruise. And the whole thing for them when they went on a cruise was like they had this like they wanted to like the ball night type of like stuff, like the really
Mm.
stuffy. That's what I think of it. I think of it as stuffy. But like they rent ball gowns and like tuxes or whatever, and they get all dressed up for the cruise and like do the stuff. And like if that's what you want to do, totally fine. But like the traditional style of cruising today, that is not the case. So you go to the main dining room, it's pretty relaxed. Like, you can wear shorts, you can wear jeans, ladies that you don't have to get all like dolled up. I think they just like don't want you wearing like maybe bathing suits in the restaurant for the most part, but it's pretty relaxed, which I think is really nice. And it surprises a lot of people, that we talk to whenever they're thinking about taking a cruise for the first time. So,
Yeah. So that is also really cool. You have to, after as you're talking, I'm like, you got to sail Virgin. So Virgin,
yeah,
Richard Branson is like who is the CEO of Virgin Voyages.
right,
He's like the owner and everything, and he stresses no dress code. So it's really awesome because they have those themed nights, but there is absolutely no dress code. Obviously, like
yeah,
you need to be covered, but like no dress code on in restaurants. So my husband wore shorts every single night.
mhm,
I went into restaurants like during brunch hours and I just threw like my cover up on and that was acceptable, which is cool because
okay,
sometimes like in the middle of the day and you're by the pool, I don't want to have to go back to the room and like
right,
fully change. I want to just throw on my cover up and be able to go in the pool, which a lot of people do on cruises because you're enjoying the amenities around the ship. And
right,
that is acceptable, which is really awesome. But they do still have those themed nights, which are really awesome on Virgin Voyages. And when we're talking about inclusivity, Virgin also offers, just like Disney. So, for those of you who don't know, a lot of cruise lines like Royal or Norwegian or Carnival, you will have your essential beverages included. However, you'll be
right,
able to purchase like a soda package. So, your essential beverages usually are labeled water, some juices, iced
yep,
tea,
hmm,
and basic coffee and tea. And
yep,
then if you want to purchase soda package, you can. On Disney, the soda's included. That would be considered an essential beverage. And
hmm,
then your alcoholic beverages or specialty non-alcoholic beverages, you could purchase a dining package. Which is really cool. Virgin Voyages offers all of that as well. So their essential beverages also cover soda, but then you can opt to purchase um, a lot of little extras like Wi-Fi. Don't forget you have to allocate for gratuities in Virgin. All of that's included. So your fare is literally what you get Wi-Fi.
Wow.
You your gratuities are included. You get all of the restaurants, everything, all of your food is included. There are no like optional upgrades. The only thing would be they have cabin eats, which is essentially like their version of room service, but
Okay.
all of the food is included. They have a pizza shop, they have lounges where you can just order food as much as you want. So like usually some of those bars, they'll have extra bites. Even if you go to like a lounge on Disney Cruise Line, you may have
What
to pay a fee for
when's
that.
your group cruise? It sounds like maybe we need to get on this, right?
Yeah, it's I know. July 14th, we're going to it's a Mayan
Oh
Soul
man,
cruise. Oh,
we
are
won't be
you
there.
dang.
No, we won't. No, sorry.
Yeah.
We'll
Other
just be
plans.
coming. I think we'll just be coming back. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. So it is, well, you definitely have to get on because it is really awesome. And
Yeah.
then Bimini, just like Disney Cruise Line or Royal.
Mhm.
So a lot of cruises will have their private islands and they have a
Right.
beach club on Bimini, Bahamas. So you get access to everything as you would on the ship, your Wi-Fi, your food, your beverage. Um, then they have different suite levels, which are also really affordable. So
Okay.
I'm really excited. They call them the Rockstar suites, and the Rockstar
Oh yeah.
suites you have unlimited. You have a one personal attendant, so it's essentially like a butler in your room because they will come
Okay.
and they'll check in. They do turn down service. Whereas in the regular cabins, you only get one service per day. In
Yep.
addition to that, they will fully constantly restock your room with beverages. So you have unlimited custom bar
Wow.
tailored to you the entire cruise. So you're not paying for any alcohol or any essential beverage or upgraded beverages,
Wow.
essentially. Yeah. Um,
Dang.
and I know. And like when I'm saying affordable, like I've seen like we have some people booked on a group cruise.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot of the Rockstar suites are booked, but like if you
Yeah.
catch it in a good time, $4,400, two people,
Wow.
5 night sailing.
Yeah.
Like
That's pretty good.
I know. It's pretty
Dang.
cool. And with that, you'll get an extra 300. Usually, when you book, you get a bar tab, a complimentary bar tab. So that is like their version of an extended beverage package. So
Right.
they got $300 to spend on like when they're outside the room if they wanted to get a bottle of wine or if they wanted to get some drinks or specialty coffees, you could use that too. And came with their cruise fare. So they didn't pay any extra for that.
Yeah.
I,
That's
I was
cool.
like, I know. I'm
That
excited.
yeah, if for everybody out there who's listening who don't under like don't doesn't really know much about Virgin. So Virgin really came in to the industry like at the worst time possible. Essentially getting ready to launch their ships, or at least their first ship, and basically the world seemed to have ended. So, they're stuck with a ship they can't do anything with. And it really wasn't looking good for them for a little while. And I think what makes them special, is everything that you have mentioned. But just to lay it a little bit more flat for everybody, is just that like they are trying to take the industry and kind of like turn it over, and do things a lot differently, make things I think a lot more convenient for their guests, simplify the process a lot more. And so it's definitely a really, really great option for people out there. I think I think before I probably like when they maybe first started sailing, I would say, maybe Virgin might not be like the great first time cruise for you, especially just to try it out. But um, it still might not be because you might enjoy that process so much and how things are included and put together, within that kind of base fare price, that when you go somewhere else, now you have to pay for all of these extra things. You're like, eh, I don't really like this. Like, I'm going to go back to Virgin. And I think that's their goal is like they want to disrupt the industry, and I think that's what's going to make them a powerhouse, especially once they start bringing in more ships. So, um, yeah, we got to get on there. We will at some point. We
Yeah.
almost did a med cruise uh, on their one ship, but we just didn't get around to it. So,
Actually,
oh,
I would argue that it's a perfect first time cruise. Just to be clear, too, Virgin Voyages is adults only, which is
yeah,
really nice because for those adults getting away, like a lot of people and adults the one thing that also turns them away is thinking, oh, there's going to be kids everywhere, and
Right.
for an adult relaxing getaway, that can be something that, I mean, I have a daughter, and I know that if I'm on vacation with my husband, I don't want to have to manage other people's kids. Like, it's the
Right.
reality is that everybody's trying to enjoy their vacation.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be frustrating. And that's the cool thing about Virgin Voyages too, is that it's adult only.
Yeah.
And when we first were looking into it, I really thought that the targeted age was like my age. I'm a millennial, so I'm
Right.
just under 30. I'm 29. And I thought
Yeah.
that I was like the targeted age, and I was wrong. It is, wait, what were you going to say?
Well, no, I was just going to ask. Like, I am curious to know. So, the other thing, just as we take a little side note here, as an agent, you get to take part in, training experiences for all of the vendors, right? Um, just so everybody knows, it's not like that's hidden or secret information or anything like that. And with Virgin, they always kept saying that like their target audience was like, I want to say,
Yes.
weren't they saying it was like
Like it's like 49, 45 to 49 or
four?
something like that. It's like
Yeah,
mid 40s. But I was like shocked to see that they
because
stress
because my
inclusivity.
thought was your thought, like that it
Yes.
was should be marketed
Yes.
towards us
Correct.
millennials.
It was, I can't even describe how unique this cruise line was, that it truly felt like when you are on a cruise, you feel the camaraderie. This was took that to a new level. Like there was
Yeah,
people of all backgrounds. It was so diverse, all ages, and everybody
yeah,
was having such a great time. Like it was
right,
the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I don't mean to say that like the other experiences, cruise experiences weren't, but this was truly like we were all here to have a good time and we're just enjoying ourselves, and it
yeah,
was truly that. It was the coolest thing ever. Like on our sea
yeah,
days, we met so many new people of all different backgrounds and like stories to tell and experiences, new cruisers, experienced cruisers. And usually I feel like experienced cruisers, they've got it down. They've got a system, they know what they want to do when they want to do it. And even
yeah,
experienced cruisers on Virgin were not like set in their ways. Like everybody was open
right,
to having those conversations, trying new food, like doing new excursions. Everybody that I talk to, I do like to talk to people while I'm there just to say, like, hey,
yeah,
what did you think of this? Or what did you do? And it seemed like everybody was it was really cool, like doing their new things, meeting new people. It was really cool. Like I
yeah.
did like it.
Just to be clear, I do think I would say now that it is a really great option for first time cruisers. Um, I'm just saying, just be careful because if you do it
Yeah.
first time and then you go somewhere else, you set the level, you set the bar really high. It's like if you stay in a balcony room for the very first time and then
Yep.
you want to like try to like maybe cut costs, and so you're gonna try and stay in an inside room, and you're like, oh, what did I do? What did I
I
do?
know.
Like,
Or like
you
just
know,
even going from Royal. I'm glad we did Royal first too, because if those of
yeah,
you who have sailed Royal, you know what the bathrooms are like in a general room and those
yeah,
showers. I call them the bank chute showers, right? It just like closes around you. In the older ships, like
yes,
that's what it does. And
yes,
then you go on
yeah,
you go on Disney and you have a full size tub. And I'm like,
right,
whoa, like you have a tub and then you have a separate bathroom. And
yeah,
Virgin kind of brings that same experience, and you have a full standing shower in your bathroom. And
yeah,
because these ships are newer, everything is like immaculate. It's really cool.
yeah,
And even it's very light in the room. Like I like that feeling of light. I don't really like yellow light in the rooms, especially at night, because it's dark outside. And sometimes when you're
right.
in the room and it feels like yellow around, if you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
it
no,
just makes it
100%.
feel
They're
smaller
they're
and like
very
darker.
they're very like warm for whatever reason. They're very warm lights that they choose to
Yeah,
use in a lot of those like uh, in the rooms. Like even I think maybe the Wish now. I want to say that those lights in the rooms are not as warm. If I it might just be the color scheming in there.
we were literally just on the Wish in February, and I can't even remember. I don't think that I think they had, the problem is that they were, the good thing is that they have so many different options for lights, because you have like the lights around the
Right.
mirrors, which can be
Yes.
really, are definitely white lights. And
Yeah.
then if you turn on certain other lights, that they could be
Maybe
white
that's
light,
what
but
I'm
you have the
thinking.
option for warm lights, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. So
Yeah.
you can like
But
change
like
the settings of the lights in your room.
yeah, but I mean, like most of the Royal Caribbean ships, even the newer-ish ones, right, within like the last like 5 to 6 years, Norwegian's the same way. The Fantasy, Disney Fantasy, they're all like you get in there and the cabin lights are just they're like warm yellow lights.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, you know.
Which like it isn't a deal breaker for me, but
No, of
I
course
do
not.
like that about the newer ships. Like I did like that
Yeah.
about Virgin. Plus everything Virgin actually super cool. They actually have a tablet that controls everything and you can
Oh,
change the
right.
actual settings.
Yes.
Like there's different
Yeah.
settings. And because it's adult only, there's always adult only spin. So like you can hit the tablet and it's like get it on and then music plays, which is so
Right.
funny. It like changes the whole setting of the room.
Yeah.
Hysterical. Like it's a really cool feature. Only thing is like it does control the TV. So at night I felt we watched the first time we ever watched the newest Guardians was on the ship, and I
Oh,
fell
okay.
asleep at like 2 in the morning, and I fell asleep, and I rolled over, and the tablet was there, and it like opened all the blinds at like the crack of dawn. And my husband
Oh,
was like,
wow.
"Shut the blinds," and I'm like looking at the tablet trying to close the
Yeah.
blinds. So it is a cool feature, but I
Yeah.
learned the hard way. Just be careful with the tablet.
Right, right, right.
But that was really cool that a lot of the features are digital and you can actually all the rooms have a doorbell and then you can contact directly contact your stateroom host through the tablet in
Okay.
the room. So like if you have
Oh,
problems,
nice.
we had some issues and I was able to just like send a message. I was like, hey, not really issues, but I was like, hey, we need more towels, and they were able to just bring us more towels right away.
Is there not a phone in there anymore, or is there still a phone just for
There is a phone.
emergency? Okay.
There is a phone, and I believe that we were able to like call the front desk too with the
Okay.
phone. But the tablet was just an easy like it was a direct messaging app, and I found that they were
Right.
extremely responsive. Like they would
Okay.
message us back just like a normal text, like right away.
Yeah.
And you could do
Yeah.
it in the app. You have like sailor services. So the rock
Right.
stars have their concierge team will actually like directly message them throughout the entire trip, which is
Yeah.
cool. So like our
Okay.
friends were like, actually, I want to change this excursion, and they did it for them like remotely through the app for rock stars, which is cool.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, but
So,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, no, you go ahead. No, no, go ahead.
So I also can you tell I'm gonna keep talking about Virgin because I love it so much. But
Yes.
the other thing that I love is entertainment. So like on Royal and Disney, they have great entertainment, but all these cruises have cruise directors, which is cool. I love that. If you don't know, the cruise director kind of manages the entertainment,
Yeah.
whereas Virgin doesn't have a traditional cruise director. They have what they call the happenings cast.
Right.
So the happenings, have you heard of that?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
So they like everybody has they have their name and then they play a role. So you have like Chris the foodie or Sam the hype, and then they essentially like play that role throughout your cruise. So
Yeah.
we would have Sam the hype that'd be like, "What are you guys doing? Like, I know the best place that you guys can go, like watch a show or do this," and they would like bring me there. Like there's like 16 of them, and they would just like be around the ship. Their job is to just entertain you the entire
Yeah.
cruise, which is really
Yeah.
cool. So like Chris the foodie would be like, "Are you hungry? I got you. Like, let's go get this food over here." And you're like, "Okay, I'm just gonna follow you. Just take me wherever."
Right.
But I thought
Well,
that was really cool too and unique.
yeah, well, it's great. I think it's a perfect segue too into talking about I think another thing that people are hesitant about when it comes to cruising, we touched on this briefly. We've been beating around the bush a little bit about it, talking about some different things, but it's just like the options of things to do like when you're on the ship, right? Uh this is this question gets asked a lot more when when we dive like deeper into river cruising, but it certainly always comes up in ocean cruising too, which is like, am I going to be bored when I'm on the ship? What is there for me to do? You know, because I imagine being on the ship and I have nowhere to go, and I'm stuck with all these people. So you know, what am I supposed to do? Right. So entertainment options, which we were just kind of talking about, to other activities, whether it's just for adults, just for kids, a mixture of both. Right? I mean, like, where do you go?
So
What do you
much.
do?
I know, so much. And I think that that was like the biggest thing. What people said was like, "What do I do on a cruise?" And I'm like, there's so much to do. So throughout the day,
Right.
you have most cruise lines now run on an app system. I do have to say, I know my in-laws just got off of Celebrity Cruise, and they still gave out traditional paper itineraries every
Mhm.
single day, which is cool that they have that option. A lot of cruise lines have that option if you request it, but most of the cruise world has gone digital on the app.
Yep.
And you can see a variety of entertainment. So anything from trivia to like game shows to live entertainment, tons of live entertainment. Like
Yeah.
every cruise has so much live entertainment, which is really cool. And then a lot of cruise lines, so like Royal, Virgin have like casinos for those that are into like gambling and everything. Disney has, if a lot of people are hesitant, I don't know why, about the kids club. The kids club is phenomenal. Like I wish I
Yeah.
was a child on Disney because I want to go in the kids club.
Yeah,
Um,
if you don't know, like the first day that you get on the ship is the opportunity to actually tour the ship on embarkation day. And I always recommend everybody just to like go in and see the clubs. You're allowed to go in as an adult on the very first day and walk around and see what it's about. Um, and I would bet that like 9 out of 10 adults that go in there, they're like, man, like this looks like a pretty cool place. Like I wish I could spend time in here too.
and it's
You
so
know, you can't,
secure.
but
And
it
it's
is
so
absolutely.
secure. So
Yeah.
not only our very first, they did not fingerprint us this time, but our very first cruise aboard the Wish, they did fingerprint us. And in addition, they actually will give each kid a magic band, which has to
Mhm.
stay on them at all times. They secure it to make sure it doesn't fall off. And
Yeah.
they will literally track them around the kids club so that they know where they are at all times, which is fantastic. Not only can you assign who gets to sign them in and out, but you will provide like a keyword, a safety word, security word that you'll have to check them out at the time. So like it
Yeah.
is so secure and highly entertaining. And then the adults get to go do their things for an hour or two, whatever they want to
Right.
do.
Yeah.
So I say that's a good opportunity.
Yeah, it is. It's a great opportunity. I think sometimes it's a missed opportunity that adults don't take advantage of. And you know, obviously I'm always trying to throw some shameless plugs in here for you, the agents, and everything else. But you know, I think another opportunity that people miss when thinking about doing a cruise, whether it's the first time or the second time or whatever, is not doing the proper research and looking into things because each cruise line offers something a little bit different, and there are some cruise lines who offer things that others don't. You know, I'm a big like I really like Royal Caribbean. I mean, I love Disney, but I could sell sail on Royal time and time again. And the same with Norwegian. But what's really great is that like on Royal, almost every single kind of activity that you want to do is included. Aside
Yes.
from like, I want to say like maybe the escape room you have to pay for. Um, and there might be like some like unique thing that I have not seen yet that you have to pay for as well. But like, you know, the flow rider on Royal Caribbean ships, they're
Yeah.
included. The rock wall is included, ice skating is included, laser tag is usually included. Um, you know,
Mini
all of
golf.
like mini golf, yeah. You know, all of these really great things, the slides and things like that. Those are all included. You go to like Norwegian, you know, and if you have kids who want to do some different things, you know, usually on Norwegian, like laser tag is an extra cost. They have the go-kart track, which is really cool. It's an extra
Yeah.
cost. The virtual reality thing that they have, which we got to experience on the Prima, was really cool. It's an extra cost. So, I mean, it's not that that's necessarily a negative thing, but it's a really great it's like it's a missed opportunity if you're not fully doing the research. I shared this story a few weeks ago, but my dad just took his first cruise and he didn't tell me about it, which is like such a boneheaded move. He did it. They came back and like 2 weeks after the cruise, he tells me he's like, "Oh, I just went on our first cruise."
Oh
And
my gosh.
I was like, okay, like, you know, thanks for letting me know, right? And and I was like, well, did you have a good time? Like, what ship was it on? And he's like, yeah, we did on Royal, and it was good. We're gonna, you know, we definitely want to do another one. He's like, but we were just really disappointed because um Andrea wanted to do the Flow Rider, but we had to pay for it, so we didn't do it. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you had to pay for it. We didn't want to pay that much money. And I'm like, no, I'm like, it's open to like the public of the ship. I'm like, if you thought you had to pay for it, like that's a very specific time slot where it's like just her and an instructor,
Like a private
you know,
lesson. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. It's a private lesson. And he's like, no, no, no. I'm like, okay, tell me the ship, tell me the sailing.
This
I
is your
will
dad?
confirm
This
this.
is
Yeah.
hysterical.
Yeah. He's it's not his first time, you know. He went to Disney World for the first time over Christmas. You know, this was years ago, but his
Oh
very
my
first trip
gosh.
they went over Christmas time. He's like, "Oh, it's gonna be great. Nobody's gonna be there because everybody's gonna be at home, like celebrating Christmas." Like, I found the secret. Like, no,
That is
sorry,
hysterical.
you're wrong. So yeah, I mean, it's, even if like if it's a friend or a family member, like ask them for some information. Obviously it's disappointing if you don't have booking with them, but like, your trip can be a lot better and it can be a little bit more steered towards your preference of what you want to do because there are just, you know, hundreds of different options out there when it comes to taking a cruise. And it can be
Oh
very
my gosh,
overwhelming,
yeah. And
you know?
100%. And I think that even like research can only take you so far. Personal
Right.
experience makes it. And that's what I appreciate being a travel agent, having that background knowledge, but also being provided the opportunities to dive into those those specific training opportunities is that now I can
Yeah.
provide my clients with those real experiences. So like this is what don't not to do because I learned from mistake is that even though I did my research, I did my due diligence, things are going to happen on a trip and you have
Right.
like a client or an agent to support you there, right? Like
Yep.
if it travel agents are free to use. It's a missed opportunity if you don't use one, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I used one before
100%.
an agent, so
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
yeah, definitely. But
So what else? What else we've got? I mean, for those that are hesitant, we talked a lot about Virgin,
mhm,
which
I know.
is, you know,
I'm just saying, you got to try it, Josh. Like you have to try it because
we will get on
there's
one.
always going to be mixed reviews. Every single vacation, Disney, Royal, there's always mixed reviews, right? I also love Royal. I had such a great time, but again, mixed reviews with Royal every
Sure.
cruise line. You have to
Yeah.
experience it for yourself because
Absolutely.
I did have a great time. But
Yeah.
I know that Disney Cruise Line too. If you didn't know, something that also makes them stand out, where if we're talking about entertainment, they have the fireworks at sea, which is cool, and the pirate night.
Mhm.
And on our last pirate night, if you didn't know, you could take advantage of some other free opportunities like for the kids because I bring my daughter on Disney Cruise Line, even though one day I'll take an adults only trip. um, that you can actually get take advantage of like free opportunities like free pirate name, which is cool. You just head to the
Yeah.
Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. You could do that. And all of that entertainment is also included. They have two shows. So it's
Yep.
like 80s rock and like fireworks, and they have like Mickey and Friends. So I think Disney also does entertainment really well. But the one thing that you were talking about with Royal that we did on our last Royal cruise, we did actually probably an itinerary I wouldn't do again, but I'm glad I did. We had a good time. It was an Ensenada and Catalina Island cruise out of the Port of LA on
Okay.
Royal
So West Coast.
Caribbean.
Yeah.
Yeah, West Coast on
Okay.
Navigator of the Seas, so an older ship, but they call it
Yep.
like the amped up ships, right? Because it was like refurbished since its
Hmm.
time out on the sea, and we did the silent disco, and that I remember years ago. I don't know if it was a really long time ago, but you and Taylor did that and posted about it. And I was like,
Yeah.
I have to try this, and this was the fun, like the best thing I've ever done. It was hysterical. I was really like jamming out. My daughter was jamming out and if you take off your headphones, so those of you who don't know, a silent disco is essentially you wear big headphones like the one I'm wearing, and there's a DJ. This was actually on the promenade, so like in the main area of the ship. Sometimes it's in
Hmm.
one of the entertainment areas, and there's a DJ that just curates some soundtracks of music, and everybody just puts the headphones and listens to music, and you dance and you sing, but nobody around you can hear what you're listening to. There's
Right.
colors that note like what you're listening to. So everybody's like team blue or team green. And you
Yeah.
could switch and toggle between the two. But if you take off your headphones, you're going to hear a lot of singing that does not sound like the music.
Yeah.
And it was a good time.
It's definitely probably one of my favorite events to do on a cruise. And typically the last few cruises that we've done, they've done it like on the first night, which I've been a little disappointed because um the last few cruises we've had to really travel quite a distance to get there. So by the time you go and you get on the ship, you're like just so exhausted. And like 8 o'clock rolls around and you're just like, I don't think I can make it for that. But it is really just a blast. It's really great when it is in a lounge, but it's even better, I think, like when it's out in the promenade. Because you have all of these people and they're like you said, they're wearing the
Yeah.
headsets and they're singing out loud, but like there's no music at all.
Yeah.
No
It's
music that
so
you can
funny.
hear. And so, yeah, it is. It's really great. And there are people who like, I
That was
mean,
me. I
it's
was
not
in it to win
karaoke.
it.
Yeah, well, you think that it's karaoke. Like, stick to the day job, you
I
know?
yeah, 100%. I am not a singer. I am not good at
Right.
singing. Those who know me, you know, and I was I
Yeah.
heads were turning. They were like, "Oh my gosh, no." But it was such a good
Yeah.
time. And then just quickly, we didn't even get to talk really about itineraries and excursions, but that's like the highlight of a lot of cruises too, are like the excursions
Absolutely.
that you get to take. And I think that's really cool for me personally. Um, how do you travel efficiently and cost effective? Cruising
Yeah.
is, in my opinion, the most efficient and cost effective way to do so because you get to
Yeah.
travel to multiple destinations along your route. Like you get to see more of the world than you could if you just go to an all inclusive.
Right.
Um, and it's like a taste of the destination. So you almost plan and curate an activity based on the best of what you could see.
Right.
So, like, what
It,
better way to experience it in that way?
yeah, it's a perfect that's a perfect description of it being a tasting, and that you only have to unpack your bag once. I think that's people, especially when you kind of break away from the Caribbean, and start doing things in Europe on a
Yes.
cruise line. Everybody's always talks about doing a land tour, and a land tour is really great. It does get you a little deeper into the country, but you also come with the drawback of like typically you're moving hotels every night or like once every 2 nights or something like that. So it's really great when it comes to a cruise because you only unpack yourself once for the whole length of the cruise, whether it's 7, 10, 3 nights, 4 nights, whatever. Um, and you get to just go out and get a tasting. And if you like that, it sets you up later on down the road to maybe do a land tour if you want because you really enjoyed that. Or go back and do something a little bit different. I always tell people that like when you do a European ocean cruise, the next thing that you should do is a river cruise, because
Mm,
if you really enjoy getting out into some of those countries, into some of those cities, there some of them are very difficult to reach on an ocean cruise because some of them are really deep in. So the next logical place is to do a
yeah.
river cruise, and you get to go up into some of those countries, unpack your bag only once, get out and explore all the culture, really great food, enjoy some amazing wine. I mean, it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's great. So, itineraries and destinations is a huge thing. And if you're a first time cruiser looking to do something on a budget, again, that's where somebody like Ashley can really help you with kind of picking a cruise that's going to fit your budget and the itinerary that you want to do. So because you could, if you put Disney, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian side by side, each of them are going to have almost an identical itinerary, who will offer almost identical excursions, but the price is going to be different between all three of them. So, that's where,
100%.
having somebody like yourself does help to, make that process a little bit easier and not so hectic and overwhelming. Because, like I said, there's hundreds of different ships out there and lots of different cruise lines.
And
My
so
head
many
starts,
itineraries. Yeah.
oh yeah. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. Do
Yeah.
you have a favorite itinerary that you have done so far? So how many cruises have you done at this point?
Yeah. So actually, we are pretty, I would say we're pretty new to cruising. We've done five, and
Okay.
you're going to laugh, but all of them have essentially been some form of the Bahamian because we like to do the
Okay.
private islands. Some have gone to like Dominican Republic or like Mexico, but the majority of
Sure.
them have been Bahamian. And I'm done. I'm going to be honest. Nassau's great for a first time, but I'm done with Nassau. I am not doing another Nassau cruise in the near future
Yeah.
because I am done with it. But we are booked. We are going back to the Bahamas next year because we're going to do
Okay.
one of the magic sailings for both of the Disney private islands, Castaway and Lighthouse.
Oh.
Offering that at a really affordable price. Like for three of us, it was under 3 grand. It was like ridiculous. I was like, I have to take
Whoa.
advantage of that. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So take a look because it was a really great rate on the Mat. So the Magic is the oldest ship, if you don't know that,
Yep.
or anybody listening that doesn't know that. And
98 is
yeah,
its
it's
sailing date.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now with the new edition of Lighthouse Point, which will be Disney's newest private island, it will actually only stop at Castaway Key and Lighthouse Point, which is really
Yeah.
cool because that is a major draw. Why people do those Bahamian sailings or Caribbean sailings sometimes is just to go to the private island to Castaway
Right.
Key. So I
Yeah.
was like, obviously that's a no-brainer. So I will be going back to the Bahamas next year, but
Yeah.
trying to stay away from that. We wanted to do a med sailing. We're planning on doing Virgin med sailing this year, but I wanted to get
Okay.
a nice group of people together. The Caribbean is definitely more accessible right now for a lot of people. So I
Right.
said, you know what? First time cruisers. We have some first time cruisers coming, some seasoned cruisers, and the Caribbean is like where it's at. But definitely want to do a med sailing next year for sure
Okay.
in
Nice.
some way,
Nice.
whether it's
Okay.
Royal or Virgin. But
Yeah.
yeah, I know you've
Well,
had your taste in
we
different
yeah,
destinations. So
yeah, we have. Just to bounce back to the Bohemian thing, a lot of people now uh don't even get off when they get to Nassau.
yeah, a
They
lot of
just
people
stay on the
don't.
ship. They stay on the ship and enjoy some of the amenities. So,
Yeah. Well,
you
we
know,
actually, so this kind of goes into what your preference is on booking on like through the cruise line or booking yourself. So I think that there's perks and there's challenges with each of them. But for Nassau, I never opted to ever book directly through the cruise line. We always, I don't know if you've ever heard of Margaritaville in
oh,
Nassau.
of course.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we opted to do that, and I've done it a few times now, and I'm like over it. But we actually did that, and I loved that. And I was like,
Okay.
it's affordable. It was a
Yeah.
walk there, a walk that I personally would rather walk than like take a taxi or anything. But we did that on our own,
Yeah.
and we liked it. And then the last time we just walked around the Newport area, and I was like, I'm done. This is it. So I would have rather, to be honest, stayed on the ship than just
Yeah.
walking around the port area, in my opinion. So I think I did have an excursion booked, but it was canceled
Yeah.
because that day was so choppy when we got into port. I'm surprised we honestly pulled into port, but um, it was choppy, so we didn't get to do our snorkeling excursion. Plus, it was February, and I was like regretting booking a snorkeling excursion in February. I'm like, there's no way I don't like the cold. So I was like, why did I want to do this?
Yeah, it's kind of surprising. I think a lot of people don't know this, but the Bahamas are actually kind of situated almost in the same latitude as like Orlando, Jacksonville-esque. So like the temperature that they're having is a lot of times going to be very similar to what the Bahamas are having. So, if it's cold in Florida, it can be pretty cold in the Bahamas as well. So anybody who when you start thinking about those, oh, a nice winter break, like a break from the winter in January and February on a Caribbean cruise, you're much better to try and get those itineraries that are going to head further south
Or
to keep that warmer weather.
yeah, or because I live in Pennsylvania, and I have a lot of clients that like to go right out of like Baltimore or New York, and they're like, I want to escape the cold. And I'm like, you're sailing from a cold destination, just so you know, like you're gonna have a few days of cold before you get to your warm destination. So like
Yeah.
that's something to consider too for those first time cruisers. I wouldn't if you're looking to escape the cold, don't do it on a winter cruise out of like Baltimore or New York, because you're going to have, or even Virginia, you're going to have cold weather until you get down there. So,
Yep. Yep. We're actually taking our first cruise out of New Jersey in June.
oh,
So
nice.
yeah, we've done
What cruise line?
on Royal. Yeah, we're going to
Royal.
be on one of the Oasis class ships. I always forget which one it is,
Okay.
but
Wait, this summer?
yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, maybe Symphony.
I think that's right.
Oh,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think it is Symphony.
I
Yeah.
think it's a
Yeah.
yeah. I we were looking
That's
into that, but yeah,
yes. Yeah. Symphony because yeah, that's the one that we haven't done yet besides Wonder. So, um, yeah.
yeah,
So we'll see.
that'll be fun. Yeah,
A little different as far as sailing out of a different port of call because that's usually we've always done Florida for the most part. So
yeah. So you're gonna be flying up or driving up, and then you're going out of there. That's a hike.
it'll be a drive. Yeah, it'll be a drive and then sailing down and back. So it's a really interesting itinerary. So I know we didn't dive real deep into it, but like Um, it's an interesting itinerary because you're going to leave New Jersey. The first port of call is actually Port Canaveral, which is
Hmm.
like one of the
Yeah,
big main hubs in Florida. So they offer, basically transportation to the Disney theme parks.
yeah.
It's kind of expensive, but obviously for people who want to try and get there, that's an option for them. And then it goes down into the Bahamas. I don't really know the entire itinerary, so it's a family trip. I haven't really paid I'd say I haven't really paid that much attention to it, but like, you know, it's more of a family
Yeah,
trip. I haven't been that involved with it. But we're just kind of excited to do a different port of call that's very different from like Florida. And
yeah, that's also different too because a lot
yeah,
of the itineraries that go out of like the northern areas and the northern ports are like Bermuda cruises.
right.
So the fact that it goes down, and I remember looking at that, I think it's like Port Canaveral, and then it goes to Nassau, and then Castaway, and then back up. But you have multiple.
Perfect day, but yes.
Oh,
I
I'm
know what
sorry,
you meant
Perfect
there.
Day. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Perfect Day, and then back up. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of Perfect K, I don't know how much time we have, but I do
Oh,
love
you're fine.
now. This may be a very highly controversial statement, but I think Perfect Day at Coco Cay is better than Castaway. Maybe controversial in saying that, but I like Perfect Day. And now they have that new edition of that adults area.
Yeah, so here's my bone that I would pick because I would agree with you that I enjoy Perfect Day at Coco Cay a lot more than Castaway Key, for a couple of different reasons. But I'm just really like I'm a little sour at the fact that they have now created this whole new adult only area. And guess what? You
You have to
can't
pay
just
for
go
it.
there. You got to pay to go in, which I think is
Just like
like
the water
such.
park. I know.
Yeah, I mean the water park I'm fine with. There's a lot of additional maintenance costs that come with that upkeep and keeping it running smoothly. So that like makes sense, and it also helps to less like keep the lines kind of short for
Hmm.
those who do want to go in and enjoy
True.
it.
Yeah.
But to have this whole brand new edition that's for the adults only be something that you have to pay for, I think just such a boneheaded move. But you know,
I don't know. Do you
we just
think they're
had
gonna make
friends.
it? Do you think they're gonna keep it like that, or do you think they're gonna eventually release it,
Uh,
like anybody can
I don't
access it?
I don't know. I know that the island is still not 100% done, so there's still more work to be had. There's still more that's being developed, but we just had friends who were there literally, I think, like last week, and they said they would totally spend the money to go back, like to go back onto the private beach part again, just for the adults.
Wow. Hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously, for anybody who's going without kids, it's a great option and definitely something that you should budget a little extra for to get in there. I don't know if they have it like completely and totally like locked in as like a certain number that they'll only release. Where, you know, like if you go to um like the beach club area, right? Like that's a set
Yeah.
number of people can only get in there. So I don't know if that private adult only side is a certain number of tickets, but
Hmm.
um I would imagine that it should be set so where like almost everybody who wants to go in should be able to get a ticket to go in.
Interesting.
Um,
So
so
my draw too to Perfect Day is like as a diver, I do love to snorkel too, and
yeah.
Perfect Day has such better opportunities for snorkeling than
Oh, okay.
Castaway, in my opinion. Castaway has those little like so they do it's really cool because you get to see like those man-made like sunken objects. So like
Right.
you can see Boo's door or the Eric statue, but that's really about it besides a few fish. Where Perfect Day has a lot more of like natural marine life and I saw okay, just don't freak out everybody because fish
Oh
are
boy, here we
friends.
go.
But I
Not
had
food.
saw a lemon shark, barracuda, tons of fish,
Really?
rays, all in like a standing, like accessible area, not very far out. Like it was just accessible with
Was
in Perfect Day. And they have the platform. So like my daughter, who at the time she was 7, and she was able to get all the way out there and fine because she would
was
take
this like in the designated snorkel area?
um well technically yes, but
Yeah.
it's
It's like on the left
yes,
side. Like if you're like standing like
it's the
looking at
main like
Perfect
chill
Day, it's like
island.
yeah, okay. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
But that is like so the one thing about Disney, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is it is fenced in. Um, I don't
For
know
the
if
most part, yeah.
I don't know if Perfect Day is fenced in. Like that natural life, like the lifeguards were like equally as like invested in the marine life
Right.
that what's going on, like letting us know like
Yeah.
the universal symbol for shark is just like shark. So he was like,
Right.
hey, like out, like that's pretty cool. I'm not to be scared, but like for me, I
Yeah.
was interested in seeing the shark. And like I said, for those who are scared, don't think this is not like in knee deep water. Like, don't think that this, we were snorkeling out there,
Yeah.
but, and sharks are not naturally aggressive. I'm a big advocate for that because I do love marine life. Only if obviously antagonized or, yeah. So
Yeah.
in the reality of things, I thought it was a really cool opportunity because I got to see so much sea
Yeah.
life. We saw huge rays, which was really cool too. And there was great like coral reef, and there was a lot of grass and like actual live like reef on
Dang.
the ground, which
I
was some you have. Did you not notice that? Like I love that.
so,
That was
well,
my
no,
thing.
we've been to Perfect Day at Coco Cay, I don't know, 5 times, I think maybe now.
And you haven't seen.
I've actually never gone snorkeling over there.
Oh,
Um,
you gotta go.
because I didn't even realize, like, I really didn't realize that like there's that much out there. I think I really had a really bad misconception from Castaway Key, because I really love
Yes,
snorkeling at Castaway Key. The second time that I was there, I saw a sea turtle, and it was
I
awesome. Like I
Castaway.
like fall, yeah, oh yeah, I followed it around and
Oh
everything
my
else, and
gosh.
it was super cool. And I do like the ability to kind of like get in there and like see some of the stuff that they have put there. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I've never actually taken that opportunity to really go out there and snorkel. So I'm gonna make sure
There's a
that I
lot out
definitely
there.
take my stuff this time, and
Yeah.
I'll tell everybody see you later. And I'm gonna go look for some cool stuff. So that's super cool because I love that stuff too. So
Yeah, I was
um
out there we
yeah,
were out there for hours all day. And I love the platforms because we would hang out for about 15 minutes on the platforms, and I can
yeah,
see like what was going on, and like other people, if they were seeing something, they were communicating.
yeah,
It was really definitely a much better like snorkel experience, and that is what I look for when I want to get off the ship. I want to experience, most of our excursions are water based, like marine
yeah,
based, like snorkeling, or in like actual marine or animal encounters. So I appreciate that specific aspect of it. Of Perfect Day was that there's
yeah,
way more sea life, and I really think it has to do with Disney controlling the environment, whereas Perfect Day is more of a
sure.
natural environment.
Absolutely. I
So,
agree with that. Yeah,
because we did the stingray
100%.
encounter in Disney, and that was phenomenal. Like on Castaway, that was great. That was
Yeah,
our excursion, but it was a controlled environment. So those are
right,
all rays that were rehabilitated and rescued and being cared for in that
right,
like fenced, internally fenced in area. If that
right.
makes sense. So
Yep. Yeah.
yeah, you'll have to check it out.
I will, absolutely. I'm actually really excited now. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think like that's pretty good. Like, do you have anything else to add? Like, kind of like some like last, I don't want to say like a last ditch effort, but like something to, like
Yeah.
somebody's like really stuck, what do you tell them?
I think you should try it because cruising is one of those experiences, and just everything in life. You can't knock it till you try it.
Right.
And if you've tried it that long ago, the actual industry has changed so much, as
A
like we
lot.
discussed, so much. Just like technology has changed, right? But the actual
Hmm.
travel industry has changed so much. So I say like partner with your agent, like partner with us here, make sure you like contact us and we can help plan that trip, because if you are on the fence, do it. Like uh, what is the worst that's going to happen? You're going to be like, I think I'm going to stick with all inclusive, and then guess what,
Right.
we have the all inclusive knowledge to be like, okay, now we know what you like. But I
Yeah.
say try it, because if you're looking to travel to multiple destinations, it is the most efficient, cost effective way to do it. You're
Yeah.
entertained while you're on your way to the island, or on your way through the Med, or a river cruise. Like,
Yep.
so
I
I say do
agree.
it.
Sounds great.
And like I said, just I do struggle with motion sickness, and am I'm okay. I use patches, like those motion sickness patches. I personally like can't take any medication, so I take the motion sickness patches and I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Like, and I get really
Yeah.
motion sickness in a vehicle. So if that is your fear, I wouldn't let that deter you.
Yeah.
And they have
Cool.
great medical service teams on board. So
They do. Just have travel insurance, so it's covered.
yes,
But
100%.
yeah. So, okay, well, thank you. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot for coming on and talking about this. It is a pretty big hot topic when it comes to somebody looking to do something. There always is somebody who's hesitant, and they always have, some reason why they don't want to do it, or maybe just a fear or an unknown fear of what the experience is going to be. So, hopefully, this has really helped some people into making that decision to take that leap of faith. And maybe you might just have your new favorite vacation that you're doing every single year. So, anybody out there listening who wants to book Ashley with you, what is your email?
Yeah, Ashley Driscoll at goldgellgetaways.com. Feel free to send me an email and we can get you
Awesome.
hooked up with an awesome trip for you, your family, friends, soloed cruise. Do it. You won't regret it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you
Yeah,
everybody
thanks.
so much for being here and listening and hanging out with us. And as always, if you have questions or comments, make sure to let us know and you'll hear us in the next one. I don't know. I still don't have like a good outro, but see you everybody.